Oh, how the turns have tabled. So AMD just recently released FSR 3.0 frame generation technology, just like how DLSS 3.0 did back in like September. Yes, they're late on this, but they did finally deliver. And according to me and a lot of other reviewers, it's been relatively positively received. And it seems like the community has been relatively positive on it as well. I ran a poll on the channel. Those who have tried it say it's pretty freaking good. It supports a lot of GPUs and it looks pretty darn good in the games that are out there available with it. Now, it isn't that widespread of support. It's literally only in Forspoken and Immortals of Avium right now, but those aren't exactly the most popular games, so we're kind of waiting on it to be in more popular games. AMD also just released, or at least a preview driver, probably the most crazy thing that we've seen in a while. Something that Nvidia doesn't have and a reason to possibly buy AMD GPUs, not just because they cost less. So this is called AMD Fluid Motion Frames technology. What the heck is this? So AMD Fluid Motion Frames technology, we know what FSR 3.0 is with frame generation, where it's actually integrated into the game and it's interpolating every other frame, so you can essentially double your frame rate, but it comes at the cost of latency within the program because it has to wait for the next frame to be generated and then hold that one so it knows what should go in between them. So you do get a little bit of latency. Integrated into AMD's driver, you can actually see AMD Fluid Motion Frames, and this gives you the ability to use frame generation in every single DX11 and DX12 games, which is pretty much everything that everybody's playing right now. However, it seems like there's elements of the HUD. I'm gonna slow this video down to 50%. If there's HUD elements, because it doesn't have access to the information in the game, HUD elements, which really shouldn't have issues with frame generation in other games, although we've seen it as an issue at times, but these things should be rendered at the new frame rate and not the old frame rate. You'll see things like this with his right stick symbol. It looks a little like there's a ghosted image or artifacts going in and out from behind it, and it looks a little bit odd in my opinion. Even these blue lines here don't quite look right. So this is very important to take into account. AMD Fluid Motion Frames isn't like this absolutely end all be all, but this is a feature that does look pretty good and gives you basically double the frames kind of at the cost of a little bit of latency and a little bit of visual fidelity in almost every DX11 and DX12 game. And that's what makes it so freaking powerful and could be a game changer. This is what, in terms of marketing for AMD, this is what they need. They need a feature that Nvidia doesn't have. This can completely change the landscape for it. This is still a preview feature. This is basically beta. The real full release of this is supposed to come out in January of 2024. So we do have a little while to wait, but what we've seen of it so far, it's pretty freaking cool, but it does have its downsides. And other GPU news, because this isn't just, talking about AMD Fluid Motion Frames or FSR 3.0 today. Some deals. Prices seem like they're actually starting to come down or at least become competitive. We're seeing sneak peeks of what kind of deals we could be seeing at least in the holiday season of 2023 here. Now, these deals aren't up anymore. I actually went ahead and clicked through the links and they aren't there, and I think it actually sold out, which is kind of funny, which would make the 4070 a $500 graphics card, which sounds actually like a good deal at $500. A 7800 XT, really competitive pricing, and this is what we need to see in the GPU market, powerful graphics cards, especially for 1440p at much cheaper prices. But what made me very curious about this price on the 7800 XT at $450 is that card is actually the same price as the RX 7700 XT, the MSRP. So I went ahead and checked through. You can get 7700 XTs just a month after launch. It seems like there has been an unofficial official price cut on them, and it seems like you can get them pretty readily available for about $430, $10 to $20 off of its MSRP. Every reviewer, everybody saw this coming. This card, with its performance and its price being so close to the 7800 XT, that it just wasn't going to be a good deal at $450. Pretty quickly after launch, it's basically already had an unofficial official price cut. Although on the flip side of things, where prices aren't coming down, is there is a recent release that a lot of reviewers did. I think Hardware Unboxed, yeah, they have a review of it, and Optimum Tech also has a review of this. RTX 4090. Okay, we all know this card. It costs $1,600 or whatever. They just made one that costs $3,200. Asus with their ROG Matrix flagship GPU. Yes, it's a flagship graphics card, but it's almost insulting how expensive this thing is at $3,200. Like, they felt the nerve to freaking double the price of a 4090. And is it worth it? If you're an enthusiast, maybe. It's a water-cooled RTX 4090, but I guess its most selling feature is that it has liquid metal on it instead of thermal paste. So this transfers the heat from the GPU die more quickly. Theoretically, would bring down temps even more. But at a price of $3,200, it really makes you wonder how much freaking money people are like spending on these things. It's like, and when you pay that much, it really brings into question, what are you really getting? It's the most unique graphics card I think I've seen in a very long time, you know, besides the waifu ones. I mean, those are my favorite. You guys know me. Yes, the looks are cool. And if you love to stare at your PC all the time, then good for you. You can overclock this card and get it to 93 FPS in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but 4090s are already pretty fast. And the Nvidia Founders Edition, yes, is at 84. The ROG Matrix one overclock can get pretty high, but its base one is only 5 FPS faster than the normal Nvidia Founders Edition card, which, mind you, costs half as much as the other one. And that also doesn't take into account that you really could just overclock the Founders Edition and get up to the same performance as the freaking $3,200 one. Even the Founders Edition card is only at 66 degrees. It's still, guys, like 66 degrees, 4090 coolers are already so freaking overbuilt that it really almost boggles me why you would spend that much to get this graphics card, even if it looks cool. It's so much more expensive. It is, maybe I just can't understand people with that kind of budget. You could just overclock the Founders Edition one to get the same performance as this. There's plenty of headroom. There's that fear in me that when cards cost so freaking much like this, that the ceiling's only going to keep getting higher and higher. And what do we do about that? I mean, it's forever going to grow. More people, like, people are going to buy it. You know, they'll just keep pushing the prices to absurd amounts. Still trickle down to the normal graphics cards when you're paying $1,600 to buy a normal 4090. Yes, this is already the fastest graphics card, consumer graphics card in the world. But when it comes down to it, man, $1,600 is a lot of freaking money. And speaking of extremely expensive graphics cards and products, this just boggled my mind even more. So Cooler Master just launched another case that looks like a shoe and apparently costs over 4,000 euros. If you really want your PC to look like a shoe, I mean, it's pretty interesting mod. Like, I can't lie. Like, I like the little RGB fan here. I think it's kind of cute. Also, there's been some very early leaks about the RTX 50 series graphics cards, mainly the 5090, or that's what we're assuming it's going to be called. And we're also assuming that this card is going to be releasing sometime in 2024 or 2025. I think there's been more rumors that it's coming out in 2025. Copyright 7 Kimmy is a pretty freaking reputable leaker. Don't know how he gets this information, and I don't want to figure out because he'll probably get busted. So here are the specs though that we have so far. Theoretical, these aren't completely confirmed. What we mainly have to concern ourselves with is the total SMs, and the 5090, which would be the full-fledged Blackwell die instead of the Ada Lovelace die, has 192 SMs compared to 144. I mean, theoretically, if we do, you know, some quick calculations and stuff like that, just based off of the total processors, will give us a 33% improvement on, you know, just overall performance there. That doesn't exactly translate to reality, but you have to take into account it's going to have a higher boost clock, the VRAM. So first off, notice we're on GDDR7 for the next generation. It's probably about time. We've been on GDDR6 since 2000 series or 20 series RTX cards, as not only the speed of the VRAM itself, but also like the bus width of it. This also makes the VRAM faster. So we're going from a 384-bit bus on Ada Lovelace, which is the current Gen 40 series cards, compared to 512-bit. That will mean the VRAM will be faster, and this does translate to more performance in a lot of cases. Price isn't confirmed or anything like that. The 4090 was $1,600, so let's see how expensive they make it next time. That's a nervous laugh. It is what it is. Hopefully it'll be better. Hopefully we'll get better price performance. That's what the next generation will focus on, because this generation has kind of sucked, except for those recent deals, which were kind of cool that we checked out earlier. Also, in terms of CPUs, you know, out of the GPU news, the i5 14600K, so Intel's 14th gen CPUs are kind of slated to actually be releasing pretty soon. I have no clue when they're actually coming out. And apparently the 14600K can be up to 8% faster with a 5.7 gigahertz overclock. So apparently these chips are probably going to overclock pretty freaking well. This 14th gen is also going to be compatible with the 12th gen and 13th gen motherboards. So this would theoretically give you another upgrade that you could do, still remaining on the same architecture of motherboards. But we're seeing like 5.3 gigahertz boost on the 14600K compared to 5.1 gigahertz boost on the 13600K, but they have the same cores, you know, the same amount of total threads and everything like that, same amount of cache too, same amount of power. When it comes down to it, this 14th gen doesn't seem like it's going to be that significant, but it might drive down the price of 13th gen. So if you're interested in upgrading your CPU, I would maybe wait until 14th gen comes out. They're probably also releasing 14th gen at a time, holiday season, stuff like that. We might see even more discounts, not 100% sure. But in terms of the performance, it's not all that significant of an upgrade compared to 13th gen, and 13th gen is already very fast on CPUs. You know, it's just a little bit better. This has been, you know, my news update. I just wanted to touch base with you guys to see what the heck has been going on. The biggest things that we've seen recently was obviously the FSR 3 just launched in Forspoken and Mortals of Avium. Can't wait to see this in more games, because it, generally speaking, from the community feedback, if people have tried it, it seems like most people are decently positive. As well, AMD's Fluid Motion Frames. If you have a 7000 series graphics card, which I will be testing pretty soon, stay tuned for that on the channel. And according to the driver from AMD, this does support all games that are in DirectX 11 or DirectX 12. So yes, even though it got like specific support in these games, really it could be used in any single one. And does this like feature, you know, is this gonna convince people to, you know, maybe buy AMD in terms of features, especially if you're focused on gaming? How much of an edge does Nvidia have with features anymore when AMD is actually making innovation with their technology? Also, we've seen that there has been some price drops, although these cards, like this is a flash sale, like it didn't last very long. But we can kind of see how the 7800 XT or the 4070 or even any of these cards down here, we could see how these cards might be discounted in the coming months, especially going into the holiday season. As well, you know, like opposite of good deals, we saw one of the most expensive graphics cards to ever release, the Asus RTX 4090 ROG Matrix GPU. And this was freaking $3,200. And speaking of money, they made a shoe PC. If you really like shoes, then have fun with that. 50 series graphics cards are being worked on by Nvidia, and we're starting to see some leaks come out. These look pretty promising. I think the performance is going to be pretty significant, especially because of the VRAM improvements. I think it's the best parts of this. 32 gigabytes of VRAM on a graphics card is freaking insane. As well as Intel's 14th gen CPUs have had some leaked performance. Generally speaking, they're a little bit faster than 13th gen, but not all that significant. But generally speaking, we've seen some cool stuff in terms of tech news, GPU news, and it's pretty exciting, especially with FSR 3. One thing I'm most excited about when it comes down to it. Hope you guys are too. If you enjoyed, go ahead and like, sub, and watch this video. Yeah, watch that one. I don't know what it is, but have a good one. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.